what I wanted to do is participate in this big thing that was happening, the '60s, the liberation movement, the trying to, the civil rights movement, etc. So it was one was peace and justice, and one was Vietnam and war. And I believed the lies they told me. I believed the lies, and so between my junior and senior year of college, I went to the Marine Corps at Quantico, Virginia. I signed up for a 10-week program for officer training called the Platoon Leader Class. And I graduated from it. They were just brutal. But I graduated from it and turned down my commission because I thought these guys are just too out of lunch. And it wasn't the Marines. It was the sadistic sergeant we had who went over the top.
Yeah.
Killed animals in front of us and stuff. It was stuff that I just, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And I joined the Domestic Peace Corps, and I was training in Chicago in the summer of '68. I got drafted after my 3 weeks of being there. The Vista Volunteers are veterans in service to America. And I joined a Catholic organization that was like that, called the Extension Volunteers. And so my assignment was to go to Kentucky and work at this little parish and teach high school, and then help out in the parish.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but I didn't get to do that because I got drafted. And so then, 8 months later, I was in Nam. Yeah, I mean, it just, you come to Vietnam and they give you your orientation program, they give you some training, you get assigned to your company. And so it took about 2 weeks. For 3 weeks, and then I got to my company. I was the only medic. I was a medic. I was the only medic in the company. And within those 10 weeks, we lost 40% of our people. It was just a fucking bloodbath. Excuse me. It was just a bloodbath. I mean, literally, not 40% killed, but 40% wounded casualty rate in those 10 weeks. I was the only medic. I was the only medic. One day we lost 25 people in one firefight. We got just annihilated. And I was the only medic. I can't even begin to describe that. Yeah. The story, my friend crawled out to help me, and he was reaching out with the field dress, and he took the bullet right through his left eye, and his fluid splattered. My jaw was literally hanging off my face. The first bullet, I was bent. I crawled out to this clearing to help these two guys, and we were down there, and then a bullet came out of the tree this way and got me here, snapped my neck to where I ruptured 3 vertebrae. But my jaw was broken in half and was kind of hanging off my face. I've talked to a couple of guys since then who saw me. And so when Michael called out, and he was reaching out to put this thing on, and bam, it came to, his fluid just splattered in my cavity of what would have been my jaw if it was a normal jaw.
Yeah.
And that's when when Bush was invading Iraq, and I wrote the Michael McParland taste test. And if you're not willing to take this test, don't be sending my kid to war. He probably only knew about 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. And we just got real close because he was a college. He was like probably 3 years into college, and he got partied himself into the drafted. And so he was kind of an intellectual guy, a college graduate. Everybody else there was 18 and 19. We just joined because we could talk about things. We had common interest, and we just got to be really good friends. In that kind of an experience, it doesn't take long. But he never had any combat experience until that one day. So the heartbreaking thing for me is that he came out, he gave his life, he gave fully, and they didn't have really one effect. Because it shot him in the eye, bam, threw down. I reached out and I wrapped that bandage around his head. Yeah. Somebody eventually crawled out like we're coming back out. And then the first guy, the two guys were there. One guy was dead. He was shot in the head. But the other guy was shot in the pelvis, shoulders, arm. He was shot about 5 times. I saw him in Okinawa later. But I eventually, as the story says, I got him going. And when I got him into the tree line, I was on my right side. And that's when 2 more bullets came out and got me through the shoulder and then right between 2 ribs. And out through the lung and out my back. Incredibly fortunate. Right between 2 upper ribs. If it hit a rib, it probably would have been bone spurs into my heart. And if it hit the scapula back here, I would have been crippled. No big deal. I was treated very well by the doctors. And these 2 little families came in, one older woman, 1 younger woman, and about 4 or 5 kids. I thought the hospital staff would be nice to them. I mean, I thought, God, I came here to help these people. This is why I'm here. And they were quite, not cruel, but they didn't have to put each family in a bed. I mean, these women were sharing beds with 2 or 3 kids. And then this one orderly sexually abused the young girl. And that's when the next day when the Red Cross guy came around, I said, no way. And I got up, and then all the cry every time I talk about it. Every time I talk about them coming, I filled up their little bags with all this candy and stuff. And then later in the day, and I was just depressed. I was horrible. I lost Michael. I lost a whole bunch of other stuff too, but it's not even in there. And then all of a sudden, this little pitter patter, and here's all these kids and the two women coming around me, and they come and they take me by the arm like this. Come. I said, "Man, get away from me. No, come, you come." They made me get up. They put my robe on me, and they just walked me. I just feel tears right now.
Yeah.
And that happened every day after that black spot. I mean, it gave me a completely different memory to go home with. And that memory was as sharp as the combat memories. Yeah, it was an amazing blessing.
What do you think?
There were some other little sweet things that they said to me that I would be embarrassed to talk about, but it's they really bonded with me because I bonded with them, and I can't tell you how much that cut through. As the medic, one of my jobs was to take care of the wounded prisoners. So on my second day in the field, we blew an ambush on them, and we had about 8 guys who were just really messed up, NBA guys. I mean, just body part, heads blown off, arms blown off, and then several guys who were wounded really badly, and I treated them so gently, so sweetly. I mean, I hadn't been in the field for 24 hours. And we had more people. We had our people get killed. Then we had more fights, and we had more people get killed. And the next time I had an opportunity, I wasn't quite so nice. It was like I'd already done with about 15 of our own people getting slaughtered. I wasn't so nice, I wasn't mean, I wasn't so nice. And then the next time came around. And the last time came around, we ambushed 2 dudes out in the field, and one guy was killed, and I took it. And the other guy, I could see it myself. I was going to turn into an abuser. It was going to happen. It was just, there's no way to get, there was just no sense of control. We had no control of the situation. So I could feel, but I didn't abuse this guy, really, but I could feel it happening. I wasn't nice to him. And I was, then I got shot before anything else happened, about a week or 2 after that I got shot.
Well, yeah.
So I'm grateful that I got shot when I did. Yeah, oh yeah. Here's me with an M60. We called that preventative medicine. Blow them away. And these are just some guys. This is LZ Dolly. We were camped. This may have been in Cambodia. We were so far west. I don't know. This is a guy. He also was drafted out of the Peace Corps. Or no, he completed his stint in the Peace Corps. Came home and then got drafted. Oh, Claude, he didn't do well on that. Here's me with an M16.
Yeah.
Here's my Lieutenant A. I refused to go to the award ceremony.
Yeah.
Because by that time I got hip on it.
You're like,
they lying to us. They lying all the way. So the lies are, it's worse than Donald Trump ever imagined. And I participated in that a little bit because I had to do body counts, and I'd go back to my company commander, and then I'd say, well, we didn't find nothing. I found a couple of shoes, after the artillery attack. And then I'd hear them call 6 dead bodies because they all had competitions about who could kill the most enemy soldiers.
Yeah.
So the inflated body counts were just, they probably said we killed more than ever lived there. This came back after I was there as a good conduct medal. And I got that medal and I wrote, this medal is a disgrace. You can see it's a good conduct medal. This medal is a disgrace. May I never again be as good tool to be used in the human structure of war. And that's what I believe. The most horrifying thing to me about, and this is where only time I ever got political when I was doing the vet therapy, is that basically the reason we, the individual soldiers, were there, we weren't there because we hated the enemy. We weren't there because we were afraid of the enemy. We weren't there because we wanted to wreak vengeance on something they did. We were there for only one reason, because we were told to be. We were told to be. And that's the number one thing I brought back from Vietnam, is I am responsible for where I put my body and what I participate in. That's the single most important thing that I learned. And it just breaks my heart that kids are still doing that. They're going in for basically because some big guy with a big shiny things on his shoulders tell them to. Or they get, you get hooked all along the way. And the war stories and the glamour and it just breaks my heart. It just really does. Because we don't seem like we've really learned a lot. I joined the Vietnam Vets Against the War after I came back. Yeah, after that first year of teaching, I went back to graduate school. I was in the Vietnam Vets Against the War. We down in San Jose, we'd go to San Francisco in March or go here in March. And the other thing I did was I talked. I went out to schools and I talked. The one nightmare I had, I've only had a couple really persistent nightmares, but the main nightmare I had for years was Michael's face. I was looking right at him and he was reaching out and bam! And the dream that would come back to me would simply be that bloody eye. But the eye would be pulsating, and what it was like to me was a mouth. It was a mouth trying to speak, but it couldn't speak. And I realized that I had to speak for him. So all this writing that I've done, and this after I came back, my brother and I wrote this book. Yeah. And now they're going out and talking to schools is all trying to tell. And I didn't get political. What I told them about was, I want you to know what war is really like, and I'd tell them incredibly gruesome, horrible stories that I went through. And I wouldn't exaggerate. I would totally highlight the pieces of meat and bloody guts. Yeah. And then I'd say, turn to your person to your left. Look at that person right there. And then I tell them about Michael. Imagine a bullet come over there and splattering across your face. Yeah. Imagine that. Yeah. That's what war is. Yeah. Don't let them tell you it's something different. That's what it is. Yeah. If you want to go, go. But know what you're going to.